Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. We're zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is to understand the role that shame has to play with being manipulated. I think that's a great viewer question. So the issue with shame and the way that it becomes so toxic and really can stunt the growth, inhibit the growth of an individual, that emotional state, that physiological emotional state, because it seeps into the empowered I am. Shame is like on a spectrum. If you are able to understand sort of emotions on a spectrum, over here we've got the darkest of the dark, and over here we have the lightest of the light, and we have a full spectrum. If we look at shame, it's really in that realm of darkness, not the darkest of the dark, but it really, gets into that dark and then into the shades of gray. And it really makes you feel far away from the light or happiness or truth or fulfillment or being or an empowerment or an I am, which is liberation, which is freedom, which is happiness, which is radiant health, which is well-being, which is where your happiest, most fulfilling and fluid relationships are, which is over here in those light areas. Like if the lightest of the light are like Mother Teresa, Gandhi, your spiritual leaders, we want to be up in that quadrant of light, meaning truth, happiness, feeling sort of energized, feeling vibrant, feeling happy, feeling alive. And the rest is kind of like a gunk that inhibits us, makes us small, and keeps us separated from our potential. So if you understand shame and manipulation on the dark realm, it's generally a tool of manipulation that another will use as a really quick fix to keeping somebody down and under their thumb, like like the Rolling Stones. Don't they have a song titled Under My Thumb? So in other words, you're under somebody's control if they have sort of that lever on you and how you perceive yourself. Okay, others are a mirror of us. And if you've got someone who is manipulative and is using shame-based manipulation techniques, it's like the cheapest, manipulation to keep you separated from your potential or empowerment. So there's a big gap then, and you can usually feel that as, you feel that there's something missing from your life. You're not getting at the big picture, but this person might be kind of important or an authority or your caregiver or a boss or a manager, so they have kind of a position of significance to you. And the shame basically is a toxicity manipulation that seeps into your I am not good enough, I am unlovable, I'm unworthy, I'm irrelevant, I'm unimportant. But further, really sort of one of the most toxic is that I am inherently flawed, wrong, mistaken, really it becomes more that significance, and it causes people to want to hide, isolate, alienate, doubt themselves, and question. And then that spurns a whole slew of self-limiting beliefs that people breathe, eat and sleep on the daily. When someone has manipulated them into that toxic level. John Bradshaw wrote an awesome book, if people are struggling with shame, called Toxic Shame. There's more to the title than that. The Shame That Binds Us. Forgive me if I don't have the title here, but if you look it up on Google or something of that nature, you can find it. It's an awesome book, and he talks about that very topic. And so shame is really one of those heavier emotions. So you kind of have to crack the code or understand the cause that creates this effect of how somebody uses and why, and how it's like a really easy manipulation tactic for someone to cause you to really doubt yourself and hit that speed bump. And it is nothing more than a manipulation to keep you separated from your greatness, to keep you separated from your potential, and most importantly, to keep you separated from realizing that. So it's very important that you identify this as a manipulation. Even if it's come at the hands of a quote-unquote family member, loved one, boss, someone who's supposed to, relate to you on a positive level or be a significant carrier of love for you, that if they start going there, that it's meant to keep you separated from your potential, and usually is at the hands of someone who has an insecurity and wants to cling to you, wants to hold you under their wing, so you're not ever in touch with your greatness and your potential and being empowered and having a healthy, strong I am, so that you spread your wings and fly. To the person who's manipulating, it's a way for them to keep a source of supply as a constant punching bag and a receptacle for their shame, their toxicity, for their insecurity. So it's a way for them to feel better about themselves and to feel that they have power and control over somebody, because that gives them a dopamine hit. That gives them immediate and constant feeling of superiority, authority, power, and control in areas that they don't feel that they have this, or that it might be questioned. So if you can toxically shame others, either to that person or to their inner circle, then it's a way for them to rise up. Once again, it's like the old tactic. If you've got, a construction, a building, architect, and they want to have this like award-winning building, and if they throw up this building, not throwing up, but means design and build, in an area where there's only like really short buildings, all of a sudden they're the premier building on the block. They've got the tallest, the best, the brightest, they are all of a sudden they've got this gleamy, shining building, but they built it in the area where everything else is suppressed and down, and then they look like they've got the more valuable property. Versus if they built that same building in a downtown area where there's all sorts of other skyscrapers, they look dwarfed. They look like the mini, building, and they're going to be walked by, unacknowledged. They're dwarfed by comparison. So someone who has toxically shamed, it's important for you to understand how the message is delivered and to understand that it is flawed thinking. It is oftentimes not reality. The messages that they're reflecting back, it has nothing to do with reality, but if they can get in that little crevice, if they can get under your skin, if they can poke you hard enough, if they can get you to feel something and then you're not prepared, and then you receive, or you're open to receiving that message of, and have that seed planted, and you're not tending to your garden. And then all of a sudden this negative message, this negative reflection of you is swirling around, and then has its your legs in its grip, and then your abdomen, then your heart, and then your mind, and then it's kind of suffocating you, and then you've got this toxic shame. This will then manifest social anxiety. You won't feel good about following your path. You will not seek the path of least resistance. You won't follow up on the promotion. You won't move. You won't have healthy relationships, because it's like a weed or a vine that's trying to sort of strangulate you emotionally and keep you bound up. And you're not able to be expansive. Life is calling you to grow and be expansive, to live in the light, like on that spectrum, to get closer to that and your truth, and to let go of this, identify it and let it go, cut the ties that bind, and release. Anyone who is telling you differently does not have your best interests in mind. What if this is a mother, a father, an Indian chief, a sister, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a manager? Okay, let's dissolve the title and let's just look at the message. We need to understand that if someone is trying to inhibit you from your happiness, your growth, reflecting back to you your greatest and most accurate I am, and they're trying to taint the water, muddy the water, put on the heavy cloud around you that never seems to go away, then you need to understand and you need to look at that and know your truth and get along this higher spectrum and understand what is manipulation and call it what it is. And you have to understand this in the privacy of your heart and really clear out that gunk so that it's not inhibiting you and it's not, you're then furthermore not, what's the word that I'm looking for? That you're not then interpreting everything, all of your other life experiences according to those negative messages. In other words, you keep stopping yourself. There's a great speaker, Vincent Jenna, he's a very enlightened teacher. I would definitely recommend you check out his work or have a session with him. He is a really gifted, he's actually I think like a psychic medium. So he's got a whole slew of tools that he can do readings on people and he can identify this. And he has a talk called Stop Stopping Yourself, which is really pretty cool. So I would highly recommend his work to you if you're struggling with this. And so this toxic shame is a way to keep you separated from your greatness, which is your only calling in life. So the calling of your life is bigger and greater than any individual. Okay? Believe it or not, there's something greater in life than just the human intellect. Okay, there's divine, infinite intelligence and divine order then that comes along once you really start tapping into that. So the good part of the journey is, even if you've been through the muck, the gunk, the disgust, the heartbreak, the betrayal, the negative messages, the really hurtful negative messages, it's very important that you release that and really consider the source and understand that it is a tactic of manipulation, control, and trying to take somebody's power away. So don't misinterpret these messages. Don't take it directly. Begin to put up a filter or a scrambler or something that you then put the message through and understand it for what it is. And really important that you do this, that you take a moment to understand that and to really get that negative message out of your system. Stamp it out, walk it out, breathe it out, shake it out. Get it out of your system. Don't allow these flawed thinking, these flawed reflections to be your true reflection of your true I am. Period. End of story. You have to have the audacity, the strength to put your foot down and to know this as truth and name it as such. And name it as such. You are as empowered as you allow yourself to be. You will be as empowered as you allow yourself to be. Okay, until you can really get a really good grip and strength with that, and then allow you to speak that truth out and allow it to resonate out, just speak it out, and then hear yourself and really digest that. Then you'll realize that you are living in the light and they're over there in the darkness. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. How are you doing over there? Ain't looking so good for me to go backwards. I'm going to go forward into light, and that is my divine calling. So swallow and digest that truth and know that and let that be a part of you and feed yourself that message again and again and again. And get some separation and some distance, some breathing room so that can flourish, and that if they're going to stay down there, then that is their choice, okay? You can't control what other people do, say, but you can control how you feel. and you can put that filter through the message and extrapolate what it is that you are actually receiving, then you're no longer a victim of the manipulation. Why would somebody do such a horrific thing? Well, it's usually for their selfish reasons. It's for their selfish reasons that are usually founded out of fear, insecurity, abandonment issues, that they are trying to keep others at bay, keep you from sailing off into the sunset, keep you from spreading your wings and flying, keeping your smile from, being part of your face and your being, because once again, under their thumb. Now, Mick Jagger, under my thumb, the girl who once had me down. So let's just use that very little snippet. Mick Jagger, the great, awesome, amazing, just, we just can't even define. He's such a great talent. Move like Jagger, etc. So for him, back in the day, the girl who once had me down, under my thumb, who once pushed me around or whatever it is. So under my thumb, meaning the thumb is the one that gives you the grip. It gives you the handle. You try to grip something with only your fingers, it can be ripped away right away. Try to pick up something without a thumb. You're not very strong. But when you've got it under your thumb, you've got a grip on it. You've got a good grip on things. You've got a good handle on it. So in other words, for him, who once had him down, guessing, questioning, doubting himself, whatever, the message is that whatever that female is, that he got wind of it and he's like, write a song about it. I don't know the history of that song, but that's just what just came to me while I was doing this video here. So shame is very toxic. It's very important that you're not under that control, under that manipulation. It's a way for somebody, so for example, like in that song, she wanted to have her way with him or whatever. The reason that maybe he had a great ego, and he maybe had a lot of girlfriends, and then she maybe told him, you've got too many girlfriends. And he's like, maybe as a rock star, I do have too many girlfriends. And he's like, no, wait, I'm all that. I can have as many girlfriends. I can travel. I can tour. I can, get with my band. I can go out with my band. That's my life. I mean, so he probably had to go through that same, thought process. So, shame is a manipulation tactic from the hands of somebody who is in fear themselves and then wants to keep others close at hands for their own reasons, for their own needs. And if you are just in life to satisfy others' needs and not your own, you ain't gonna get very far. You're not gonna feel happy if you've got all these people who you're trying to please. You can't please them all. It's just a fact of life. It's a fact. I mean, you can look at this scientifically, but I would recommend that you walk out the door and leave shame behind and never go back to that destination. In fact, make it impossible for you to go back to that state. Destroy the map that took you to that place of shame. Destroy the roads. The thicket is too thick. No human being can walk there. There's too much sticks. There's too many holes. There's too many snakes. There's too many bug bites. You can't even make it back into those trenches. It's intraversable. Okay. The path there, you can't go there. I mean, you have to use your understanding. You have to use the understanding of the basics of fight or flight. You have to understand the basics of manipulation. You have to understand the basics of why somebody would manipulate. You have to understand what is in somebody else's best interest and what is in your own, and to understand that life does not require you to sacrifice your I am for another. That doesn't compute. That does not make logic or illogical sense. yeah, you might be a hero and then rescue somebody, but then don't you then need a hero to rescue you? I mean, do you see how this becomes a real conundrum? It becomes a mystery. So you really have to look at your own inhibitory faculties that you then are then taking their message and you're inhibiting your happiness for them. And to what degree are you doing that, and to what degree is that healthy or unhealthy? And don't get mixed up in the imbalance. If you are like the sacrificial lamb and you're feeling that in your belief system that you must give up everything for other people, then I don't think you're walking in your best light or your best glory. I don't think that that's what the greater divine intelligence is requesting of you. Sure, there's going to be a balance of time where you're taking care of other people, but it should not be to the point where you're going on a straight path down and then you're having to live in the valley and unhappy and in the dark. I mean, I don't really believe that your creator is really asking that of you. In fact, they want to lift you up into the light. And oftentimes there's people who will, you can drag them away kicking and screaming. They don't want you to be happy. If that's the case, then you have to understand the manipulation and why it is for you to always be there for them, for you to live on a parasitic lifestyle where they're taking away your life energy, psychic vampirism, the whole 9. Okay, so realize it is what it is, and realize that you have the key to unclench. Don't allow them to clench you. You have to do this work in the privacy of these videos and in your own heart so you can go back out the door and into your life and live in the light. It has no difference if it's cloudy or sunny out, the light is your light. You have the right to pursue your happiness, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I mean, it's written in the Constitution of the United States of America. Human inalienable rights. And now with artificial intelligence, robots have rights. I mean, come on. So I hope this little exploration does help. And I hope that you no longer allow the shame to bind you and restrict you. It's your buddy, peace and harmony with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out. Have a beautiful day.